Hi everybody, welcome to class. My name is Todd McLeod. You're in AI Essentials. And in this course, we're going to learn how to use AI more effectively. A little bit about me. AI is one of my areas of expertise. I run local workshops teaching people how to use AI here in our community. I've taught this course before. I helped write the curriculum for this course. And I use AI on a very regular basis, daily basis, all the time. So we're going to learn how to use AI more effectively in this class. And our course is organized into modules. And there are 18 modules. And because there's 18 weeks in this course, each module corresponds to a week. So we're going to do module 1 during week 1 of the course, module 2 during week 2 of the course, so on and so forth. And if you open up these modules, so this is module 0, it's kind of like just some getting started stuff right at the beginning of the class. And module 0 here has some links for you. So here's Google Gemini for students. I just checked, but all of the large language model chatbots, all of them require you to pay today. I didn't find any that were free to students. So you could try to use a free model, if you find one, or you could download and install an AI on your local machine, and you could ask AI how to do that, or watch videos online about how to do that. Or you could just use, whatever model you want to whatever extent you're able to use it. And if you need to pay for a model, you might need to pay for a model to do the work in this class. And so you could use Gemini or Claude or Grok or ChatGPT or Perplexity or whatever you like. And do your work in whatever AI. And so here also another resource are 12 skills for AI. And you can see those 12 skills right here. And so we're going to learn these 12 skills this first week, and I'll go over them here in a second. And then there's also a larger file, which is an AI reference. And this is a training I did 2 years ago. This document is 152 pages long. So this is just FYI for your reference. There's some interesting things in here, but you can look through that if you'd like to look through it. So in module 1, when you open it up, you'll see materials. You'll see a week 1, chapter 1, this is like all of the stuff that we'll be learning. And then down here is where you earn your points. You earn your points by doing these things down here. There's an overview of what we'll be learning this week. There's also a chapter that you can read. There's a presentation PowerPoint deck that you can look through. And then there are links to different readings that are out there. And we'll go through this chapter 1 here briefly and take a look at that. And I'll say a few things about that. And then once you've kind of read through chapter 1, you could come down here and you could do these things. These are going to be interactive tutorials. And so when you open up one of these tutorials, you click it. And what you'll do is, I'm going to edit that so it's actually a live link. So I'll make that a link, I'll copy it, and then just turn it into an external link and add that in. And done, and then save it. But if it's ever not a live link, you could also just highlight this and Control-C, Command-C it, and then come over here and paste it, and it'll take you there. But here is an overview of what you're going to do, and then the objectives, and then how to submit it in Canvas, and a step-by-step guide. And what you'll do is you copy everything below this line and paste it into your AI chatbot of choice. So I'm just going to copy everything down here under that. And it goes all the way down to the end. And now I'm going to Command-C that. And then I'll go to whatever AI of my choice is. So I could go to Grok, and I don't know if I'm signed into Grok. By the way, I'm going here because I'm not signed in. And we'll just put it in, and we'll see what it does with it. Oh, actually, I am signed in. But it's saying, welcome, I'm the tutor. I'm the AI tutor for this class. Before we begin, please tell me your name. My name is Todd. And now I could do this at Grok. I could paste it in at Grok, or I could paste it in at Gemini or ChatGPT or Claude or any of these. And then I'm going to just have a dialogue with the AI here. So that's what this prompt is that you pasted in. This prompt tells this AI to be a tutor and to walk you through the 12 skills of using AI. And here you're learning the first skill, right? And so that first skill here, skill number 1 is mental model, your mindset, and basic prompting, have a conversation. So I'm kind of curious so here, he explained the difference between one and done prompt mindset versus an iterative conversation mindset. And you could say, you know what? I don't understand any of those concepts. Please explain them to me, right? And you could just dialogue with this AI about these things that you're learning, and it'll explain it to you, right? And so you're going to do these kinds of copying a prompt and putting it into an AI and then interacting with the AI. And then when it's all done, the AI is going to produce a little report for you. You'll copy that report, and you also copy a link to the chat. And then you'll go back to, the assignment, and you'll submit it. And you'll submit that link to the chat, and you'll submit that summary report. And that's how you get credit for doing that assignment. And so that's the way that assignment's going to be for the 12 AI skills. It's also how that assignment's going to be for the discussion and also for the tutorial. Is you'll copy a prompt, you'll put it into some AI, you'll interact with the AI, and then you'll submit a link to your chat as well as whatever little summary report got produced, and that's how you get credit. And for the discussion, you submit that as your discussion post. And then any of us could go in and click, any of the people in this class could go in and click your conversation to look at the chat you had with AI. So that's called adaptive learning. The AI is going to adapt to what you know and what you don't know and teach you what you don't know to make sure you learn everything in the class. So those 12 AI skills, the first one is you just want to have a conversation with AI. And these are the basics for just doing good prompting with AI. And when it comes to AI, if I was to go to a search engine and ask for the best restaurants in Fresno, I would enter exactly that at a search engine, right? So at Google, I would say best restaurants Fresno. But if I was to go to Gemini, and that's a search engine that I just did right there, best restaurants Fresno. But if I go to Gemini, I'm going to have a conversation with it. And I'm going to speak to it like I'd speak to another human. I might say, my wife and I, we want to go out for dinner. We like, spicy food. We like ethnic food from different cultures. We don't necessarily need things to be fancy. We do like good food. Make sure that the restaurants you recommend have good ratings, and that at least 100 people have left a rating on the restaurant. And look for restaurants within a 30-minute drive of us. We live out in this area. Let me know what you find. So I'd enter all of that in here, which is really different than using a search engine. So search engine's very short, but with AI, you're going to have a conversation with it, right? And a conversation means you could also have many interactions. So you could like say, yeah, that's not quite what I was going for. You just respond to it and keep talking to it until you get the information you want. So that's skill number 1. Skill number 2 is you want to give your prompt context. And you could do that you could give it context by also uploading content. And so context is like, hey, it's my wife and I, we like food from different cultures. We're looking for good food. Like, this is all context. We live in this area. We want something within 30 minutes. That's providing context. And so providing more context takes this general tool, which is AI, and it focuses it to do this one task. So this is one of the concepts you'll learn from this class, is that AI is a very general tool. It knows and understands everything. And you have to focus it on doing just one thing. And the more you focus it, the more context you give it, generally speaking, the better the results you're going to get for what you're trying to do. And so that's giving context. And you could upload content. You could upload content to also help give it context. So to illustrate this, I could go to my fridge and I could take a picture of my fridge, open the doors, take a picture of everything that's in my fridge. And I could upload that picture to AI. And I could say, here's everything in my fridge. Tell me what I should make for dinner. And it might say, well, I see you have a half-used jar of marinara sauce. I see you have some chicken that's in there, and I see you have some mozzarella. How about we like turn all that into a dish? And uploading content also gave it context. And you could upload pictures, you could upload documents, right? Whatever, just try uploading everything. Try taking pictures of stuff. I'll take pictures of things. I'll be like, my wife, she got a new panini grill press. I took pictures of it, got the model number on the back. I said, tell me how to make grilled cheese with this thing. And it told me how to make grilled cheese. But the point is I uploaded pictures of it. I gave it content, which gave it context, and is able to work. When you create prompts, you want to give emphasis. The thing which really unlocked powerful AI was this paper that was written and this research discovery which occurred and was written about in this paper in 2017. And the paper was called Attention is All You Need. I believe that was the name of it. Attention is All You Need, right? AI paper. And it's attention is all you need. Attention is all you need. So here it is, right? And what that taught AI was to give attention to some things and not other things. And what that means is like when you and I talk, if I was to talk to you in a very monotone voice, and I'm going to demonstrate that here, it'd be hard for you to make sense of what I'm talking about. So here's the monotone voice. I went to a restaurant. They had lots of food. The food was ubiquitous. There were many things to order on the menu. I looked at all of the different items. The items included a burrito. They included nachos. Right? Like it's hard to kind of follow if I'm just monotone. But if I give emphasis to some things, I went to a restaurant and they had so much food, right? Like me giving emphasis tells you what to focus upon. And likewise with AI, when we tell the AI focus on something, right? When it learned to give emphasis to some things and not other things, that's when it became really powerful. And so the paper was attention is all you need, meaning you got to give attention to some things and not other things. And we could help AI give attention to the right things by emphasizing certain things in our prompts. So we can emphasize things by using capital letters. We could say, hey, here is my goal. And the AI is going to pay more attention to that. And it's going to be like, okay, this is important. And we could also emphasize things by using something called Markdown. So there's Markdown, and you could go and look for Markdown cheat sheet. And really, this is all you need to know about Markdown. But it's basically like with humans, like here's how I create a heading. And that's the way we see a heading as humans, right? It's a heading. But if it's a machine, we just put a little hashtag in front of it for heading level 1, 2 hashtags for heading level 2, and 3 hashtags for heading level 3, right? And so by using capitalization, by using, I don't know where I was, by using capitalization, by using like 2 things here, 2 hashtags to say this is a heading 2, right? I'm giving more emphasis to different areas of my prompt. And I could also encapsulate things in my prompt in XML. And so here's XML. And XML is basically, here's like opening and closing data, opening data and closing data, right? But I could just call this whatever I want. I could say opening note and closing note. Or I could call it opening, data. Well, that's what it was called. I could call it opening info and closing info, right? And then I could say up here, see the info below or whatever. And it's going to be like, okay, it knows this is the info because it's in the opening of the info. That's where the info begins. And it's the closing of the info. So that's known as XML. So you can start to use some of this in your prompts. And as AI has gotten better, I asked AI, hey, is it even helpful anymore to kind of like use Markdown or sometimes to throw a little XML in there? And AI responded like this spring, and it said, yeah, it's still helpful. Because it's helping the AI give emphasis to stuff. And you're telling it, you know what, this is my goal, pay attention. All right, so that's giving emphasis in your prompts. And all these are skills that can help you create better prompts. And then the next skill is to prompt for a prompt. So most people enter a prompt into AI and then get results. But what you can enter into AI is a request for a prompt. So your prompt can be, hey, please give me a prompt and write this prompt to generate an image. And it's going to be a prompt that I run at Google Gemini Images. And I want the image to be a YouTube thumbnail. And, and this is what the video is about, right? And so you could ask for that prompt, and then the AI is going to give you a prompt, and you could take that prompt and you could run it over at Google Gemini Images, and it'll give you better results. And the reason it'll give you better results is because it'll write a really good prompt, and it'll write a better prompt than you will take the time as a human generally to write it. And so you could prompt for a prompt and get better results. And to illustrate this, just kind of what we're learning, I'm going to go over here, and I recorded a lecture earlier today. And so I used this program to transcribe that lecture. And now I want to export, and I'm going to show you just some of the stuff here that we're learning. I'm going to export this lecture as a text file, and I'll put it just on my desktop, and I'm going to call it lecture text. And then I'm going to close this program because I no longer need this. And I'm actually going to delete that file, right? I'm all done with that. So I'm going to close that. And then I'm going to go to Gemini. I'm going to say here, attached is a lecture. And if I don't think I could use my microphone because I'm recording. But if I wanted to, I could just dictate. And I'm just checking to make sure everything's recording. Because I've done that before where I've given a whole lecture and the volume wasn't on or something. All right, so attached is a lecture transcript. This will be uploaded to YouTube. Give me a title and description for this lecture. And now I'm going to attach. So, I gave it some context. Hey, it's a lecture. It's going up to YouTube. And now I'm going to attach content, right? And so I attach that content. And now I'm just going to run it. And it's going to give me the title and the description. And using AI as your study partner, CIT 15 course orientation and syllabus walkthrough. I like it. That's fine, right? And I'll put that in. And then the next one is it all the way over here? Here's the description. Welcome. And so I'm going to copy all this and get all that. And I might just hit copy here because I think I'd get those TXT things, and I don't want that. And then I'm going to come back here and I'm going to paste in that description. And it gave it to me as Markdown. You can see it actually formatted using Markdown, right? And so this means bold right here. The two asterisks on one side of something is bold. And I don't want Markdown for my description. So I am going to copy it this way. And we'll just have to do a little cleanup here. Boop, maybe. That's a mess. That's no good. So what I could do is I could go to VS Code, and I'm going to copy all that. And then in VS Code, and this is just a workaround, in VS Code I'll create a new document. So let me close all this stuff. And we'll save this just as temp, and we'll put it on the desktop. And it's going to be temp MD, okay? And then I'll paste all that Markdown in there, and I could do a Command-Shift-V, and it formats it. Like this is what that Markdown means. So now I could copy this description, and it should copy over to YouTube well. And, that's better. I'm okay with that one. And now I need to create thumbnails. So I could say, give me 3 prompts that I can enter into Google Gemini Images to create YouTube thumbnails for this video. Okay. And so now I'm prompting for a prompt, right? And it's going to give me 3 prompts. So here's the first prompt. And I could copy that and come over here to Gemini. And I could say, hey, I want to create an image. And I'm going to paste in that text right here. I didn't copy. Copy. Paste. There we go. And I'm going to run it. And then we'll go back over to Gemini and go to Images. And we'll go get the next prompt. And we'll paste it in here. And we'll run it. And then we'll go back over here and copy this and go to Gemini and then say we want to create an image and then paste in the third prompt. and now it's creating thumbnails. So that's okay, but I'm got my gender wrong, which is fine, and it's kind of weird, like student raising hand and advanced AI holding tablet, and that one, it's all right, but not super exciting. And so I could come back over here and give me 3 more prompts and make them engaging. I want people to click on these images, right? And so I didn't like the results I just got. So I could come back and I could say, hey, I want a new chat. And the results might have been kind of bad because I used Flash. So if I wanted to, I might say fastest answers, it's new. I might try Flash Lite and see how it does, right? And so we could run around with Flash Lite. And this is actually how you learn about AI, right? One of the ways you experiment, and you have to have that spirit of adventure and exploration, and you got to try stuff, and you got to see what works and what doesn't work, right? So we're running these prompts all again to create new images, and we're doing it with a different engine, a different model, right? So put this one in, and we'll see if we get better results this time. And I want to create an image here. And now we can check out the results. Oh, that's interesting. I don't know if I want angry professors, AI brain versus detection. I'm not sure what that means. AI in the syllabus allowed, and that's kind of fun. The AI is doing something. That's kind of weird. And give me 1 more. You create it along the same lines. And I don't think I'm going to run it here because I don't really like that result, but I do like this result, so I'm just going to ask it to do it on this one. And I'm going to download that image. I like that image. Make it totally different. All right, we'll just see what it does. So we got 1 image down for a thumbnail, and this one, I don't really care for the angry professor. But it actually kind of captured what was going on in class today. I had one person really not like the idea. That is so weird. I had one person not really like the idea of using AI in class, in one of my classes, this class. And AI brain versus detection. That's kind of strange. Anyhow, so that I will go with that one, and then I'll just see the previous ones, if any of them are any good. Maybe I have one I could grab from the previous one. So I'm just looking over here. I'll refresh, and I should have some prompts over here. There are the prompts. What happened to the other ones I did? I don't know where they went. Because those are the prompts. Oh, there we go. There's that one. And that's kind of interesting, actually. Just the student, raising a hand, and it's the AI that's responding. That's kind of cool. All right, so the point is you got to see how to use a prompt to create a prompt. And now I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to do an A/B test. I'm going to upload some thumbnails. And so those are in downloads, and there's the first one, and then here's the next one, and then here's the next one after that. And now YouTube is going to A/B test these different thumbnails with this video. And I could create a new playlist here. And this new playlist will be CIT 15 lectures. And these are lectures. And you know what? I just feel so lazy now. I'm just going to copy that, and I'm going to come here, and I'm going to put that there and say, give me a title and description for this playlist. Because it just, it does it better, and it's faster, and I don't have to think. And I know people say that by doing that, you might be limiting your intellectual capacity and stunting your growth, and that, you're going to lower your intelligence because you're not using your brain. But for me, that's not true, man. I use my brain all the time. And this just helps me go a little faster and get better results, which is why we use tools. So that works for me. And the language here is English. And it's United States. There we go. And the date published, newest. Yeah, like that. All right, so adding that to 15 full course lectures. And I'm going to hit next. And next, and next, and then public. All right, cool. So that's, you saw me use some AI there, and you saw me use some of these techniques that we're learning, these 12 skills, and you saw me prompt for a prompt. So the next skill you need to know about is prompting components. And so prompting components are things like context, role, goal. Like we learned about giving it context. You saw me giving context. But you could also, and you saw me specifying a goal. My goal is to have people click the YouTube thumbnail, right? So make it engaging. But I could specifically specify my goal in all capital letters, and I could make hashtag in front of it for a heading 1 level and 2 asterisks on each side to make it bold, and then really draw the attention of the AI to that piece in everything I'm entering. And it'll be like, okay, that's your goal, and I need to make sure I really fulfill that goal. You could also say role or persona. So context, role, goal. You could share your role. This is who I am. That's kind of giving more context about where this prompt's coming from, what you want it to achieve, who you're delivering the results to, what the purpose is, what the goal is. But the role can also be for the AI. Who do you want the AI to be? And you might have the AI, be like, hey, I want you to be like the best Parisian chef in Paris. I want you to teach me how to make amazing crepes. I want to make crepes for my family this Saturday, right? And I gave the AI a role. And so these are different components you can include in your prompt. And you can include constraints, right? But don't use, bleach white flour for my crepes. And I want them to be savory crepes. And don't give me any of these kinds of recipes or whatever, And you could put constraints. You could say what kind of output you want. I want the output to be returned in Markdown. Or you could say, I want the voice and format, the tone, the style to be a certain way. So I'll sometimes include all of these things. I'll just copy them. And I'll say, create a prompt for me to generate the thumbnails, to generate one more thumbnail for the YouTube video. I want the prompt to be very thorough, so emphasis here, and I could put use any of these prompting components below that are useful in making the prompt more effective. My goal with the prompt is to generate clicks. And then I could do prompting components. I could paste all those prompting components, and then I could end that. That's how you end it, that /. Okay, that's XML. And now I could submit this, and I could say, return the prompt in Markdown. And I could just make that bold. And, another thing that you could ask for when you work with the prompt. So look, it gave me Markdown, and then it used the different roles and the different goals. So hang on 1 second. All right, I'm back. And so yeah, it returned it with all the prompting components, right? Design and visual requirements, context and goal, role and persona. And it returned it in Markdown. And, it's given emphasis. It's organized it for the AI. Like, this is a great prompt. So if we now take this prompt, I'm just going to copy it. I'm going to go to Gemini, and I'm going to, create an image. And this one's going to run at Flash. I'm running the model at Flash. And I could maybe do extended thinking. Why not? And then I'll go to Gemini again, and I'll go to images. And I'll come down here and we'll do flashlight, and we'll do that with extended thinking and put in the same prompt. And then we'll go to Gemini once more, and we'll go to images, and we'll go to Pro with extended thinking, and we'll put that in. And now we're going to compare, right? So we're starting to see, how different stuff works. Like that one's all right. And I actually had students who were mad about using AI in the class. That was like what they were conveying. Like, no, AI is going to ruin society. There's one student who was really worried about AI. And like, here's another one that's pretty good. And here's a third one. They all went with this thing of like, AI is going to teach us the prompts. All the prompts did. But I think that there's no real difference in, whether I use Flash or Flashlight or, extended. And these are great thumbnails. I like them. I like some of these better than the other ones. But whatever, it's good enough. And at a certain point, you just have to be able to say it's good enough. I've kind of lost my voice, so thanks for bearing with me here. All right, so that's prompting components. The next skill for using AI is providing examples. And so like if you want to do something, you could provide an example. So here's an example between these. The de-identified version of this, is a cardiologist at this and can be reached at this, would be, and you could see it put X's where personal information was taken out. So this prompt is like, hey, remove personal information, and here's an example of something with the personal information removed. So giving an example to the AI of what you want done can be helpful. So that, how would you use that? Like maybe you take pictures of thumbnails you like, and you're like, I want the thumbnails to kind of look like these thumbnails, and create a prompt that I could give to Gemini images to create a thumbnail that's like those. Similar kind of a look and style and tone, but for my video, right? So that would be giving an example. You could run simulations. So simulations are what we'll be running in this class when we do like the interactive AI tutor or the discussion, and you copy a prompt and you put it into AI, and then the AI is going to be your tutor, and it's going to teach you the 12 skills and make sure you understand all of them. Or you could do that if you ran a business, and you could give, a prompt that all of your employees run, and then your employees will be trained on something, right? Like I want the AI to simulate being a disgruntled customer, and I want, my employees to have to interact with it, and then evaluate what they did well after they've interacted with it for a little bit, and teach them things they could do to be better, and then produce a report and have them send it to me. And that's a simulation that, you could create a prompt where you run a simulation, a scenario in the AI. The next thing is voice prompting. Not everybody knows how to do this. And I'm going to use ChatGPT because ChatGPT will talk to you real time. And so here in ChatGPT, there's a blue circle, and you could press it and just talk to ChatGPT. So I'm going to demonstrate that. Hey, how's it going today?
It's going pretty good. How's your day so far?
Good. I'm just getting in my car, and I'm going to be driving home, and I want you to teach me a little bit about quantum physics. So where would you start?
Sure.
Where would you start teaching me
Yeah.
about quantum physics? I don't know much about it.
Sure, yeah, I can help you with that. The first step is realizing quantum physics is really different from the everyday world. So, we're not talking about billiard balls or baseballs moving around.
Okay, I'm done. But the point of that is that that's using voice prompting, and I could just talk to it. And you could do that on other AIs where you dictate to it and then it responds with text. And with ChatGPT, that's one of the things I really love about ChatGPT is you could just go in there and have a conversation with it. It's amazing. And you could do that like when you're driving. Set it going, just set it down, and then you could have it teach you about quantum physics or whatever as you're driving. And then you could also give it more context. You could upload more content. You could upload like all of your notes from a class, or you could give it access to a folder in Google Drive with all of the information that you have about a class. And you can say, hey, I got my quiz on everything we've done. You've got access to the folder. Quiz me on it as I drive for this next 45 minutes to go take the quiz. Prepare me for it. And then you're doing voice prompting to prepare you for that. You could also do audio recording. So you saw me, I had the transcript from a recorded lecture. I threw that into AI. I said, create the title and the description for the YouTube video. It looked through the entire transcript of the recording, and you could record all kinds of interesting situations, right? You give a presentation or a lecture, you can record it. Or if you're doing customer research, you sit down with customers, you could record it. Now you need to know that when you record somebody, there's single consent and dual consent states. And California is a dual consent state, which means pretty much you got to get consent from anybody you're recording. In single consent states, you the recorder just have to consent, which is weird, right? You just need consent from one person, and as the recorder you could say, I consent to recording everybody. It's cool. But generally speaking, it's good practice just to say, hey, I'm going to record this. So I capture everything, and then I transcribe it and throw the transcript into AI to get the main insights, but I'll delete the recording and I won't share it with anybody. Are you okay with that? So, audio recording could be really useful that way. It could also be really useful like for a couple, you and your significant other. If you guys are having a discussion, you could just hit record. Probably talk to your significant other about this, like, hey, in the future, when we have like a disagreement, I want to be able to record it and then ask AI, what can I do better as a partner to improve my communication? And then you could throw it in, and also, what am I doing well already? You could throw it into AI, and then maybe AI would say, your partner's dysfunctional. Go find another partner or whatever. But it could help with personal growth in that way. By capturing what we say, because so much of what we do in our life is what we say, by capturing what we say and what others say, we could then take that transcript from the recording and put it into AI to get insights about our personal lives, our professional lives, all kinds of stuff. Skill number 10 is being skeptical of output. AI can hallucinate or confabulate is the word that is used in some circles. And so it could sound compelling, it could be accurate, and it could also lead you in the wrong direction. It could also give you false information sometimes, just like humans. So have some healthy skepticism. And if it starts telling you that you're the best thing to walk the earth since Einstein, be a little skeptical. Because maybe you are, but statistically the probability of that is that you aren't. And I include myself in that calculation. All right, and then we have different tools, AI tools. There's tools for everything. You can pause the video and you can look at them, and you can look at them. And there's a website called There's an AI for that, which lists out all the different AI tools, so you could peruse that. And then skill number 12 is troubleshooting with AI. So when you're having difficulty with AI, you could ask AI, how do I not have difficulty? You could take a picture of your screen, like maybe you're using Gemini, right? You could take a picture and upload it to Claude and say, why is Gemini not giving me the results I want? You could try different AIs and you'll get different results from different AIs. But again, that spirit of adventure and exploration is going to help you adopt, figure out which AI works well for what. Like Claude does not work well for images. Google Gemini does work well for images. So it helps you figure that out. All right, so those are the 12 skills. You have a little tutorial on them here. And then we have our chapter here. And I read through these each week, and I do it before the week. And there's some unexpected, there's just like some, this stuff here is strange. I'm not sure. But you could just, it's like a strange character R, a strange character T, and you could just ignore those. But it's good, we're looking at this together. And when I'm in the edit mode, we can see what those look like. Well, I'm not in the edit mode, so here's the edit mode up here. And the edit mode actually shows the R. And I'm just looking, so here's like this interesting character, but it's just like an anomalous character. It's just an encoding issue. And I've created this with AI, these materials, and reviewed them. but it's having an encoding issue. So I'll get that fixed, and then, but just ignore that stuff pretty much for now. All right, so here's what we need to learn from this stuff. And I'm just going to come down here to the summary. So AI system infers from input. So you give it input and it makes inferences toward an objective and emits one of 4 output types. It'll give you, so this is just like academics like to categorize things. And this just starts to like categorize what kind of output do I get from AI. You might get a prediction, like some probability. You might get content, which is text or a picture. You might get a recommendation, a ranking of stuff, like do this, do that, or you might get a decision. It might say you need to do that, and that would be a decision. It might act on the decision, in which case the AI would be agentic. So, just a little bit of theory here. And it's really, the theory here is really about thinking about the system. So, we are looking at how do we use AI tools, and that's all good. But also you might want to think about the system. Where does the AI tool fit within the system? And so sometimes, you're going to have an AI tool to automate some sort of a bounded or restricted process, like a step. Like, okay, when the email comes in, we'll draft a reply. And then that will automatically happen. And then a human has to review it. So the bounded step is draft a reply when an email comes in. And that gets automated. And it just happens automatically. Another one might be to augment a person, right? So, in a system, we might have the AI augmenting a person. I'm not sure what that looked like. No examples coming to mind to me real quickly. We could also have it support a decision. So, this is the kind of different kind of places AI could fit within a system, right? It could be supporting a decision in some sort of a process. So when you give information, like the processes that computers use is IPOS, input, process, output, storage. So they receive input, they process that, they produce output. Here's the answer, here's the result, and they could store that. And with AI, right, we give AI input. It determines our objective. It makes inferences. So it figures out, based upon statistical probability, it infers this is what, is a good answer. It produces that output, and then there's some effect in the world on a system. And so this is like a process that occurs when we use AI. We give it input, it determines the objective, it makes inferences and uses probability to produce the output, and then that output has some effect on systems, on yourself, on the world. So when you're implementing AI in an organization, you think about this a little bit more thoroughly than if you're just like, what's in my fridge and what can I cook for dinner, right? You sit down and you kind of figure out, how does this AI work in the system? So automation is a property of a process. It may use fixed rules, inferences, or both, or neither. And so fixed rules are like, if it's asking to access the bank account, we always say no, right? That's a fixed rule. And inference is figuring out based upon inferences and probability, right? This could be part of the process. It uses probability and inference to figure out what the output should be. And fixed rules are deterministic. So deterministic programming is a human has really said, hey, if there's this condition, and if it's met, do this, and if it's not, do that. Like if it tries to go to the bank account, that's the condition, no, right? That's the fixed rule. That's deterministic. And inference is really different. It's probabilistic. It's not deterministic. And so in the past, computers were all deterministic. Humans had to create the rules, and then the computer followed those fixed rules. Is deterministic. And inference is probabilistic. And that's really different because we, in the old system with deterministic, we gave it input and we knew what the output would be. In the new system with inference and probabilistic, the probabilistic system, we give it input and we don't know what the output's going to be. right? It's not determined. It's not deterministic. It's indeterministic, and it's probabilistic, and it's generated through inference. And so that's a really different thing. And when you have that, what happens is we are now collaborating and co-creating with machines. We provide our perspective, our input, and then the machine gives us different output. And you saw that when I asked it for thumbnail. The same prompt when I asked it for thumbnails, the same prompt gave us different thumbnails, different output, right? And so it wasn't deterministic, where we always got the same one. It was indeterministic. It was probabilistic. It was inference, where we got different ones. And systems can use both of those or neither. So that's system. When you implement a new system, you want to measure a baseline, like where are things now? How are things working now? And now let's implement some automation, some AI, and see how did they change things. And so that's that idea. And you also want to verify the output of AI. And there's various ways of verifying it. And if you have human review, right, you want to have these things in the verification. And again, this is just kind of like structured theory about putting AI into a system. You want evidence, right? Like I need some evidence to support what the AI came up with. Or I want to have the ability to override the AI if it's not right. I want to have the time to actually evaluate that as a human. The human that evaluates it has to have the expertise and the competence to make the evaluation. They need to be able to escalate if something seems concerning, and they need to be able to appeal AI's output if the consequence is warranted, right? Like this didn't apply to the situation, somebody needs to be able to appeal it. So run the 7-step cycle in order and set the data boundary before opening a tool. The data boundary is what input do we give to the AI, right? And some stuff we might never give to AI because it's too personal or too important to the business. Or we only give it to AI that runs in a confined local environment in our business. So data boundaries. And then there's the 7-step cycle. And we'll just look for the 7-step cycle up here. Define the task. Choose the method, set the data boundary, generate or analyze, verify, revise, and document human judgment. And then finally, we have run the 7-step cycle in order, set the data boundary before opening a tool. Public, synthetic, instructor provided, or student created is like some of the data that we could use in the course, right? Hey, there's public data, or there's synthetic made up data, or there's data that was provided by the instructor, or the student created data that has no sensitive information in it, right? Like that's a good data boundary. So you could read through this, get what you get from it, scan through it, but you can also just go straight to, the tutorial. I like theory when it's useful and applicable. So the most important thing from this week are the 12 AI skills, and you have that tutorial, and then you have the lecture tutorial covering the content we just went through. Then you have a quiz, and then you have a discussion. And always let me know if any of these seem ridiculous, because it's the first semester I'm using them, and I've created these with AI. So if anything isn't working right, just let me know. All right, that's a little introduction to our course. That's the week's first lecture. I got to go run to the store, pick some stuff up, and get home. Glad you're here. We're going to learn some good stuff, and you're going to gain some amazing skills. And I look forward to sharing the next content with you next week.